Week 4, we're almost halfway there. Congratulations on that. So, week 4 gets into more topics that could be sensitive to you and experiences you have, or I think even on the personal level and experiences that you might have. So, we're going to be talking about the effects of constant structure, looking at dropouts and programs to support them, as well as substance abuse and addiction. I shared this class would bring a lot of those highs and lows when we look at stress and violence and the effect that it has on our students. This is another week of those conversations. So, what's expected for the week? You're hopefully watching the video right now, which will be posted on Blackboard. The reminder of the Christian message. I love the Romans 5:8 here, but God demonstrates his own love for us in this. While we're still sinners, Christ died for us. And a reminder of the poor choices that people make, Christ is forgiving, and that's such an encouragement. Getting into the reading for the week, it is in our text, chapter 7 and 8. So, chapter 7 will get into addictions, and chapters 8 will get into dropouts and looking at supporting those students and those families in that process. The video this week is a TED Talk with Colin Powell. His reflective piece is not on foreign policy, which we all know him as our Secretary of State, and before that, part of our armed services. But he gets reflective on the need of structure. He talks about an experience he's had at the high school level and the importance of building that structure for students. I'm going to pull my elementary hat on and say structure is so important even before we start school, looking at the possibility of preschool and the need for preschool for all to give structure and success. So that'll be a part of the conversation, looking at that structure and your readings on that as well. So the discussion board this week has two different discussion points. The first one is on addiction, asking you a personal experience that you might have with either a student or a family member of a student, or maybe your own personal experience, and then sharing how that student or individual found success or the supports that they had. Just to give you my insight, I have an uncle that was an alcoholic and a drug user that my dad, being one of the oldest siblings of the family, took him in, bailed him out of jail a couple of times, and growing up got to watch that as he tried to become sober and that process, and really affected my views and a lot of different pieces. So I have an experience there. So as you share, it can bring up a lot of different emotion and just the encouragement to continue to support one another like you do in the discussion board. So thank you. The second discussion board question focuses on a dropouts and a program to support them. I know the question asks about your school, but you might want to think larger to your district. And if your district might not have a support program, finding a colleague who knows about a program, but looking at what we do to support those that drop out. I know at an elementary level for us, I don't have a specific dropout program because it's mandated and we get the law enforcement involved, but secondary schools, once you turn to a certain age, making that choice and it's not required any longer. So being reflective on that. So that's the discussion board for the week. So for the submission this week, or assignments due this week, it is your resource binder. So this is a binder that will have 20 resources to it. So for week 4, what's due is resources 1 through 10. So clicking over, this is the descriptor that if you clicked on here would take you out to what the assignment is, explaining it. Again, you're looking to create 10 resources to help students, children, and teens if they need support in any of the different issues that we're reading on or issues that you're experiencing, and you're going to put it into this template. That was the template clicked on, where you put your name, so binder number, each entry should have its own number. So number 1, number 2, 3 to 10 right now is what's expected. Who's the audience? Who is it for? The purpose of it. Then that summary of the resource, and then how to access this and the content information. So there'll be 10 entries. So no title page is needed or any other descriptor besides this. But in essence, if you think each one is a page, you should have 10 pages right now that you're submitting in, keeping it in the Google document. You can submit the link onto Blackboard and I can access it. Make sure that you share it with me, or you can put it into a PDF form and submit it as well. So that is what is do this week. But if we look a little bit further, I'm going to click onto the syllabus right now. So looking ahead, week number 5 is a mini group Prezi presentation that I'm going to encourage you to go on to the groups and assign yourself to a group. Each group should be about 2 to 3 individuals. One group will have a group of 4, and I think that group has already been formed as I go in. But what you're being expected for that, and I've clicked on the descriptor for it, pardon me, is instead of a discussion board, you're going to be posting this presentation. You will get to sign in, and the question here is, if your group had control over the optimistic and encouraging beliefs of a student would be given on a regular basis to help them see the future, develop a 3-point program you would use as an educator. So that's what your group's going to decide on together. You'll go through all this. I think of PBIS for Red Hill, my elementary school, it's be respectful, be responsible, build relationships. Those are our 3 points and how we teach on that. So you and your groups can make that decision and then look at the requirements of what's expected as you go through. Big thing here is know it should be about 8 slides. If you extend that, that's fine, but don't really go past 12. But we're looking at closer to that 8 component with the titles, 6 slides for your 3 points. In essence, two slides for each point and 1 conclusion slide is the best way to think about it. Make sure that it's appropriate for the genre, intended audience, and purpose of the presentation. And then at least 2 APA citations should be embedded into the presentation. And then think of your presentation. Is it clear, colorful, concise information? And then one student will submit the assignment button on Blackboard in groups. So I'm just going to go really quickly over here to groups. My group might look a little bit different, but you would look over at groups, click on the groups. You're going to see members enrolled. There's 4 here. So the next one you click on, and then forming your groups can enroll there. I'm not going to choose the group assignments unless you send me an email that tells me I need to be assigned to a group. Otherwise, I'll let you make that choice. So that is coming up for week number 5. So it would be best to get your groups. But again, that will take the place of submitting individually on the discussion board. So very important from there. And then that one submission, we'll put it there, and you'll get the points for the week from that submission. So that is the mini group presentation. And then if I'm looking further ahead is your research paper, which I clearly shared on the overview video, all approved on what you submitted as your research components. And then there's the breakdown of the rubric and information on that one, what's expected, and then you'll be creating your own individual Prezi or Google Slides to give me information besides the paper itself. So that's the week 4, and then hitting week 5 and week 6 requirements. I hope that you have a great, blessed week, and please email, call, or text if you have any questions. Good night. Goodbye.